Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with BB, and today for 10 Minutes Max, we're going to be talking about the return of retail, specifically what's going on with GME and how that potentially will translate over into crypto. Before we get into it, guys, if you could do me a solid, please consider liking and also subscribing if you are new here. Again, we are growing like crazy, and it's all thanks to you guys. Let's dive into the charts. The past few days, GME, GME has gone crazy, right? GameStop. Pretty crazy to see it, going wild again. Obviously, a lot of us remember what happened, back here in 2020 through 2021 when it was probably the most or one of the most epic and famous short squeezes of all time where for those that haven't seen the movies, or there's been like 5 movies on it, or weren't around during that time. Basically, it started on Reddit, and a bunch of retail guys basically induced a monster short squeeze onto some hedge funds, and kind of took them to the cleaners. And there was a whole bunch of drama with Robinhood and whatever. But I can't make like a 5 hour video on it, so go watch the movie. It's on Netflix, you'll see it. But what I want to talk about is, what's happening here from a technical perspective, and then also how this potentially would translate over into crypto. So first things first, I'm going to just draw, a real simple line here. Okay. Let's just draw it right here. And you'll see like we're basically like we've kind of come out of this like little falling wedge, like wherever you want to, place it, you can just kind of be like, all right, that's interesting, right? Okay, cool. Like, who could have foreseen, right? It broke out and it started to move. But what I find really interesting about this is the timing of it, right? Like, when did this short squeeze really happen last cycle? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to put it in log mode. All right, and I'm also going to change the candles to red, right? Because I'm not trading GME right now. I wish I was. It's going crazy, but what I want to figure out is, does it relate to crypto? Does it relate to altcoins? So let's put others up here. And for those that don't know what this is, others is everything in crypto minus the top 10 names by market cap. So basically, this is your altcoin index. All right. This is, mid cap, small cap altcoins, and it's basically the S&P 500 of mid cap and small cap altcoins. It's a really useful index to gauge altcoin performance. All right. So let's take a look at it. So this was last cycle, right? Where, cycle for GME, you can see that, things just went absolutely nuts, right? Like the short squeeze started to happen. Obviously, retail was going crazy bidding it. And here, actually, let me just go up to a little higher time frame here. Let's go to like the 3 day. All right. So obviously, the short squeeze started here. GameStop was at $1 or under $1 here, in summer of 2020, and then it squeezed all the way up to, I mean, I actually think it even went a little bit higher than this. This might just cut it off, but it pulled over 100x. Okay, so this is total down here, right? So what I want to see is, could GameStop be indicating to us that, risk is really about to rally again? Like the market's about to go absolutely bananas. All right. And here we go. Let's draw some lines now. And we will see precisely when the squeeze really began to happen for GameStop. Okay. It's right about here. I'll make this a little bit thicker. So basically, like in December of 2020, you can see that, we were in like an accumulation, right? Or vertical accumulation, prices were moving up. And then of course we got the pop, and the pop basically from right here went up 3,000%. Okay. I mean, it's just nuts, right? It just went crazy. So, if we look at altcoins underneath it from last cycle, what do you notice? Right? Right as GameStop really went crazy and like the squeeze went just nuts. Look at what altcoins did. Total went from 44 billion in market capitalization to 420 billion. So total pulled a 10x. Okay. So your altcoins on average went up 10x right as GameStop really began to squeeze, right? And you can see that, GameStop peaked out right here, and altcoins really hadn't even started to move yet, right? So you can see that GameStop really led the way. It really did. So is this a return to risk on? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look at it where we're at right now. Okay. And actually, let me draw one more line here. So this is total previous cycle all time high. And then we'll just draw it from the previous complacency shoulder as well. Okay. And we'll do the same thing over here. So from total all time high and then the complacency shoulder as well. Okay. So what do we notice right here? Right? It kind of looks the same, in my opinion. So GameStop is starting to squeeze. And similarly to last cycle, um, total is basically right underneath the previous cycle complacency shoulder and even just all-time high. We're kind of in like that compression or coiling right underneath the most pivotal level on the chart, right as GameStop is starting to squeeze. So you know why is GameStop pumping again, right? Is it like is it retail's return? Is it the froth and excess indicator? I don't know. We only really have one data point, but I will mention that the charts look very similar, right? GameStop is beginning its squeeze. We'll see ultimately what happens. No one truly knows how high it's going to go, but I'm certainly seeing some similarities to last cycle, at least from a contextual standpoint, like where crypto is at, potentially in this larger cycle, right? It's in a similar spot as GameStop is beginning to squeeze. But I also want to talk about sort of a more bearish scenario for Bitcoin here, which maybe seems a little bit off brand for the discussion that we actually just had here. Um, but I think it's important. So let's pull this up. One moment. And I want to talk about, Bitcoin in the sense of like what could potentially happen. We just had the Bitcoin halving. People are getting a little frustrated that we're not at, 500K Bitcoin already. But let's talk about it, right? Like what could you potentially expect? All right, so here's the Bitcoin halvings marked out again. They should be within a couple days, right? Sometimes these drawings get moved around a little bit because I'll go to like the weekly time frame, and then you can't put it on a specific day. You can only go by the week, but basically pretty close. But what I want to take a look at is what happened, before and after the second and third Bitcoin halving, just to provide some context to where we're potentially at. Okay, so what you can see here is right before the second Bitcoin halving, price moved up just like this. And then we kind of bled, a little pullback. I mean, it's actually a pretty big pullback. I think it was like 30% plus. Um, yeah, actually 40% to the wick. Over the coming months after that high, Bitcoin did pull back a little bit. Um, but basically, when did Bitcoin really start moving? After the Bitcoin halving, the second Bitcoin halving, it didn't really start moving until I would even say like December. Okay. So all of this, like the little spike leading into the Bitcoin halving, all the way through, into middle of December until we really began our ascension upward, this like the real fun, right? That's what everybody wants, not a little, but not a little pump. We want a big pump. So let's take a fractal. All right, let's take a measured move from the high set before the halving, which is just right before the halving. Okay, all the way through until things started like really moving. All right, there we go. There's our first halving, and we will come back for that one. Okay, we will come back for that one. Now let's go to the second one. What happened this time around? All right, again, we put in a little move up into the Bitcoin halving, pretty similar. But I would argue we didn't really start moving up until, maybe even like right around here. So that would be, October of 2020. So it took quite a bit of time, because what you really want is, I mean, we're all here for this, not the little moves. Those are fine. We're here for the parabola. When did that happen? Right over in this region. Okay, so let's take another fractal here. All right, so from that high right before the halving, all the way through, we'll just say the first peak, that's fine. The other one is red, so we can make this one blue. Okay. Now, where am I going with this, right? What have you noticed here is that, right after the Bitcoin halving, typically price just doesn't do a whole lot. Okay. It's just kind of boring. Everybody expects it to go crazy, and it just takes a little bit more time than everybody would expect. All right. So let's put these fractals over price and just see what would happen, right? So this was like just from right before the halving. All right. And then this one was the high set, a little bit further out. Okay. So here's the two sets of price action overlaid, again, right from the second Bitcoin halving all the way through the all-time high for both instances. Okay. And now overlaying it where we are currently, you can see how that price action would look. Here's the good news. In the not too distant future, after both halvings, price went up significantly, right? Things look great. However, the bad news is, let's see how long it took, right, before things really got crazy. I would argue that like the real rally and the real fun, sort of began like on this phase, like right over in this region, things started to move up pretty aggressively. Okay. Pretty aggressively. So, how long would that be from right now if we were following suit with previous cycles? Well, from right here, it'd potentially be another 130 days, right? If we were to just do what we did in the previous two cycles. Now, I don't really think that's going to happen. And the reason being is like we've done quite a bit of front running this cycle. I mean, for one, we made a new Bitcoin all-time high before a halving, which has never happened before, which is a pretty monumental front running. So I don't think it's going to take another 133 days, but I just wanted to point out that historically it has taken, quite a bit of time and chop and ranging before, the real fun begins, which is, the parabola. So again, I'm just overlaying a potential, sort of bearish scenario where it's really not even bearish, it's just like it will test your patience. So where are we most likely? You're somewhere in here. Where are we most likely? You're somewhere in here. Just that lull, that chop, that little bit of annoyance right after a Bitcoin halving. And if you can stay patient, history tells us that you will be rewarded. But then again, at the same time, right? If we pull back up the GameStop chart, there might be something here as well that GameStop is once again sort of leading, and we would expect it to put in a significant high before altcoins really begin their move, which is, what we saw last cycle. Guys, that was it for today. We didn't go too much over 10 minutes. Not too bad. Before you go, please consider liking and also subscribing. Again, thank you guys so much for the support. Last but not least, check out the links in the description below. The first one will take you to our website where you can sign up for our Discord. In our Discord, we share active positions, setups, private premium setups, TA, stuff that we don't talk about here on YouTube or on X. Again, truly you get to see behind the curtain for how I'm positioning and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team is positioning. And additionally, you get 2.5 hours per day of private live voice calls with the entire Because Bitcoin team and community where we do Q&A. And basically you get all of the guidance that you would need. It's basically private Twitter spaces. Okay, we do 2 of them per day, 2.5 hours in total every single day, Monday through Friday. So truly, nobody works harder at what they do than us here at BB, and you will absolutely love the Discord. Also, a little bonus, within the next 30 days, you are going to get free access included in your existing Discord membership to our new flagship product called the BB Terminal. It's got derivatives data, portfolio tracking, heat maps, order flow, high time frame, DCA indicators, literally everything you could need to succeed in these markets, all bundled into one super website. And that's going to be included in your existing Discord membership for no additional cost. So again, that's coming very, very soon within the next 30 days. Second link in the description below is to the BB Academy, guys. The BB Academy is our new master class. Okay. If you want to save yourself days, weeks, months, quarters, even years of learning the wrong material, the wrong TA, the wrong FA, bad strategies, me and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team took it upon ourselves to compile an absolute premier master academy master class. It's really great. We share all of our strategies that have worked for us over the years of trading successfully in these markets. And again, we can save you a lot of time and money and bad habits learning the wrong things by teaching you the right things. And again, it's all conveniently bundled together in a very, very affordable package. That's the second link in the description below. Certainly tremendous value. Certainly tremendous value. It's got quizzes and the whole thing. It's pretty great. So again, if you want to learn how to chart like me, how to do FA and TA from the rest of the team, definitely check it out. It is great value. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Before you go, please consider liking and subscribing. Again, we will see you tomorrow. Take care.